Many of us can cite the requirements to be labeled straight bourbon or straight American whiskey by heart. And any country that whiskey lovers care about have also set criteria to be labeled whiskey from country X. Ireland is no exception. And today we're going to talk about the 4 different main types of Irish whiskey. And we're going to use one brand as examples, Method and Madness. If you do a tour at the Midleton, Cork, Ireland distillery, you're going to do it at Midleton's historical distillery, not their working distillery. Except Method and Madness is distilled in that historical distillery, which I think is great. Method and Madness is a brand that not a lot of people know about, and they say they keep pushing the boundaries of Irish whiskey, whatever that means. One thing you will notice is that almost all of these whiskeys are finished in some kind of cask and have a non-typical oak cask that they're matured in. I'm Captain Mike, this is Whiskey and Witerature, and I talk about whiskey and books, and today it's Irish whiskey. There are 4 main types of Irish whiskey: blended, single malt, single pot still, and single grain whiskeys. Now, single means something in Ireland different than what it means in the United States. Single simply means that it was distilled in one single distillery. So for simplicity's sake, we're not going to use the word single in the rest of this video. That's just what it means. We're also going to talk about malted barley. So malted barley, or really any grain that's malted, it means that the grain was soaked or steeped, allowed to sprout, then heated or dried, which stops the sprouting process. That malting process, it converts enzymes and starches to sugars, which help in the fermentation process. And there also is a misconception that Irish whiskey has to be triple distilled. False. Irish whiskey traditionally perhaps is triple distilled, and most of it is. However, some distilleries do not triple distill, Kilbeggan for example, and it's not a requirement. Okay, on to the types of whiskey, and first of all, the easiest, blended Irish whiskey, because it could be pretty much anything. Any mash bill of grains, pot and or column distilled, single or multiple distilleries. There's no typical flavor profile for blended Irish whiskey because, again, it could be about anything. Here's a non-typical mash bill you'll see. This is 60% oats, 40% malted barley, pot distilled. It doesn't fit in any of these criteria, so it becomes a blended Irish whiskey. Probably the most common blended Irish whiskey that people are familiar with is Jameson or Midleton, very rare. I have had just a couple of small pours of this oats and malt, and I do find it to be very pleasant. It's a little bit light and has some nice cereal notes. Next up, malt Irish whiskey. This is going to be 100% malted barley distilled on pot stills. Typical flavor profile would be smooth, sweet, and malty. So I have the single malt Irish whiskey matured in bourbon barrels, selectively finished in French oak casks. This is a pretty great whiskey. I do really enjoy this one, and it nails those flavor profiles. Next up, pot still Irish whiskey, and this is a uniquely Irish labeling. Lucky for us, the taxman used to tax Irish distilleries based on how much malted barley they distilled. This led them to develop pot still whiskey. There is a minimum of 30% malted barley, 30% unmalted barley, and up to 5% other grains. And distilled, of course, in pot stills. A typical flavor profile would also be a little sweet, but spicy and viscous. To me, here we go, the pot still Irish whiskey from Method and Madness. This I really enjoy. It's matured in sherry and bourbon barrels, finished in chestnut casks. And this is, I think, the pinnacle of the Method and Madness products that I've had. I really enjoy this. I've had multiple bottles of this, and I think if you can ever come across this, you should pick one of these up. I do really enjoy it. That leads us to grain Irish whiskey. the mash bill has to be no more than 30% malted barley and then other grains, and distilled on a column still. The typical flavor profile would be sweet, light, and floral. Example of this, and this is the most elusive, perhaps hard to find type of Irish whiskey, single grain. I have Method of Madness's single grain Irish whiskey matured in bourbon barrels, finished in virgin Spanish oak cask. And I have not opened this one yet. And we're going to go ahead and open it right now and have a bit of Irish whiskey. You know, I thought I learned a while ago to open bottles before on camera. Wow, I thought this was going to be, there was a pull tab and I thought it was going to be easier, and it's not. Oh, it's not very pretty. Oh well. I'm using this barrel glass from the Midleton Distillery. I picked up last month while I was doing their tour. I don't know why. I don't know if grain whiskey is just less popular, or why maybe it's more difficult to distill, or that people have a preference for the single malt. I think people think single malt is like the pinnacle of some whiskeys. I do have a preference for the pot still. You know, just like an American whiskey, I like a nice rye or a high rye bourbon. I think it just lends to that a little less sweet, a little more spice to it, a little more kick. And I think that's what the pot still does for me over the single malt. So yeah, definitely have a preference for Irish single pot still whiskey. But this is single grain. And I just opened it, haven't let it sit in the glass here at all. We're just gonna hit this. It's kind of early on a Saturday. It's not morning, but it's just barely into afternoon time. So I'm gonna have a bit of this and see what it's like, and then we're gonna go watch some more football. You know, surprisingly, I mean, it is perhaps the darkest of these four. Maybe this one's a little darker, but it is light. It does have a floral and I would even say kind of a honey note. Little lemon zest. Light, floral, honey, lemon zest. I feel like a little snob when I'm drinking out of this glass, but I'm actually really digging this glass. I'm gonna have to find myself some more of these here in the States. I do wish their logo was a little bigger, a little more prominent, but it's a nice glass. Just a light spice to it. This is a nice pour. Okay, light, again, floral, some honey, citrus, a little bit of spice. I'm digging that. Like, I can't believe how many guys have not heard of Method of Madness. Now, honestly, they do not. They're kind of a micro distillery. They don't do a lot of distillations, but I think if you can ever find some of these bottles at your local stores, and some of these I've found at Total Wine, some of them at other kind of local stores. But if you can find some of these, I would encourage you to do so. And you know what? Just enjoy the Irish whiskey. I thought I was more of an Irish whiskey than a Scotch whiskey kind of guy, though I'm really enjoying the Scotch whiskey lately. But you know, one of my favorites is Irish whiskey. So I think if you, hopefully you have learned a little something today. If you have, like the video, it's free. Subscribe to see more of my content. Again, I talk about whiskey and books. But for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good, drinking something great, and wearing that damn hat. Cheers.